Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV, where we are currently standing in the studium and doing our alchemist and culinarian Rolequest with Deborah here, and our goal here basically is to create the ultimate bread. Long live the gourmet! As Professor Galveroche so eagerly pointed out, our Mervyn bread cannot be considered a perfect meal until we load it with a sufficient quantity of ascorbic acid. The problem is, all the citrus fruit varieties grown in Labyrinthos have distressingly low values of this key nutrient. They say it's something to do with how the fall sun cannot entirely replace the effects of natural sunlight. But for our purposes, we are unlikely to improve the Mervyn bread's level of ascorbic acid simply by adding a Labyrinthos orange or two to the list of ingredients. And yet the professor claimed to have managed the feat. The question is how? He synthesized it? Yes, that's entirely possible. He may have manufactured a nutrient using elements extracted from readily available Labyrinthos produce. The process he employed, however, is a mystery. It would take me months to research a manufacturing method from scratch, but we cannot allow the professor to submit his panaloaf unopposed. We need to consult with another expert on the subject. Razatan is the home of alchemy, and one of its noted practitioners, Master Yalvas, is the Near East's leading authority on nutritional science. I've never had the pleasure myself, but perhaps we will ascend to an audience if we show up on his doorstep. The new aetheroid allows us to travel to Fafnir directly, so that should save us some time. Let's be swift. And sure, we might have to work on efficient. You alright? I feel sick to my stomach, but it's nothing compared to the nausea I suffered after one bite of a professor's panaloaf. Come on, we'll find Master Yalvas in the city proper. So this is the fabled city of Razatan. It's even more vibrant than I imagined. Yes, this is my first visit to Fafnir. To be perfectly honest, this is the first time I've ever left Charlian. What of you, Desiree? Have you been here before? I have. Then you can lead the way. I've studied the layout of this place from top to bottom on parchment, but in the flesh, I'd probably get us lost before we'd taken 10 steps. The documents I've read mention Master Yalvas' affiliation with the High Crucible of Alchemia. I wonder though, the man should be getting on in years. He may very well be retired. Anyway, it's somewhere to start. Let's head over there and see if he's still in residence. Deborah is now accompanying you. Now that's an impressive piece of alchemic apparatus. Why, I wager I could concoct almost any mixture I please in such a fine furnace, in such a grand furnace. Paul, just some lingering ethereal sickness. Let's put on. Really? It seems that everywhere you look, there's another sight to dazzle the senses. Yalvas, never heard of a fellow. He may have worked here once, but I know no one of that name amongst my present colleagues. And I suppose he's retired after all. Actually, considering his age, there's no guarantee that the man is even... Well, let us assume he's still among us for the moment. Shall we continue on inquiries on the floor below? We have spared no expense on this facility. When it comes to a field of alchemy, it would seem that Razatan is moms ahead of everyone else, even the learned professors of Charlian. You're looking for Yalvas, the alchemist? That would be my great-grandfather, but it's been quite some time since he last worked here. Your great-grandfather, huh? He was a great man. He is. Over 100 summers young and still going strong. As a prominent scholar of nutrition and health, he's always practiced what he preaches. Why, he's even spry enough to visit the tavern from time to time. If you head over to Maritz Mayan, you might chance to see him there. That's wonderful news, thank you. I'm very eager to meet him. There you have it, Desiree. Our next destination is oh dear. Everett travel did not agree with me. Deep breaths and away to Maritz Mayan we go. When I say great-grandfather visits the tavern from time to time, what I really mean is all the time. Are you sure your friend is well enough for this role? We'll see. Oh my, authentic Hanish curries with spicy aromas to die for. But as much as I would love to sample all the foods on offer, my gourmet research will have to wait. So much chemical equipment. Even with all the time I spent at the Faculty of Medicine, I've never seen even half of these devices. Perhaps I should spend some time studying here in Fafnir. I don't see anyone who matches the portrait from the book, which makes sense considering how young he was in that particular picture. I wonder what he... Der boy? Miss? Miss? Ah, don't you worry now, young lady. I'll brew a remedy that'll put you back on your feet in a twinkling. Thank you, sir. I feel ever so much better. I've never heard of a bout of ethereal sickness lasting this long. Oh no, my dear, you're quite clearly suffering from a severe case of anemia. All the symptoms point to a lack of ascorbic acid. Without that nutrient, your body has trouble absorbing iron, which in turn leads to thinning blood, a disturbing pallor, and extreme fatigue. The medicine I give you will remedy the immediate issues, but I strongly suggest you rethink your dietary habits. We wouldn't want your youthful promise stolen by a fatal case of scurvy now, would we? Now that I think on it, I've been eating nothing but panaloaf samples since we started all this. It stands to reason that our yet-to-be perfected meals would leave me low on ascorbic acid. Folly save me, I almost made the same mistake as Mervyn. Your knowledge of the nutritional science is most impressive, Master. Oh, just plain old Yavas these days, my dear. I'm retired right now, but I've learned a thing or two about healthy eating and longevity over the years. Ah, so you are Yavas, I knew it. My name is Deboye and I study nutrition at the Studium in Charlien. I come seeking wisdom from a foremost expert in the field, that being you, of course. If you know of a viable laboratory method for manufacturing ascorbic acid, then I humbly request you to instruct me in the process. Well, isn't this a coincidence? It wasn't long ago that a professor from your studium approached me, looking to solve the exact same dilemma. Yes, I know of a method, and I was the one who discovered it. But the sweat of my brow comes at a price, Mr. Boyer. And a rather rich one at that. How rich? The professor paid it without so much as raising an eyebrow, and I'm afraid the cost of my services is beyond the means of the average student. Still, it hardly seems fair to turn you away at the gate. I tell you what, why don't I make you a deal? You see, I've always been a lover of curries, but when you've eaten as many as I have, you begin to grow tired of the same Hanish flavors. But I recently came to learn of an Eorzean-style curry plate that I'm desperate to try. I obtained the recipe from a trader and have even gone so far as to gather the ingredients so the cook here can take a stab at preparing the dish. But now Destiny has seen fit to drop a pair of Western travelers in my lap, and who better to make Western cuisine than the natives of those lands, huh? So here's my offer. You prepare the curry, and I teach you the method, provided my palate is properly tickled. We accept. I promise you, we'll make the most delicious curry you've ever tasted. The other visitor was almost certainly Professor Galveroche, which means the process he learned is one which can be followed using resources from Labyrinthos. And what's more, Eorzean curry is one of the last stand's most famous dishes. I've made it many times. First, you caramelize the onions to bring out the sweetness, add the bouillon, dice your choice of meat and stew until tender, and oh, be sure to skim the floaty bits from the water, of course, and Deboye, save it for the kitchen. Sorry, I did it again, didn't I? Yes, I know all the steps. Aside from mixing the golden spice, Master Deacon was always one to prepare that ingredient. If you could take care of that part, then I'd be more than happy to handle everything else. As I said, I have all the ingredients you need and more besides. Cook away and let me know if you're running low on anything. My mouth is watering already. How's that spice mixture coming along? It smells wonderful. This will give our curry the perfect amount of zest. So this is what Eorzean curry looks like. The color, the aroma, it's so different what we serve here. Now for the all-important taste. Is it to your liking, sir? It's fantastic. The more you eat, the more the layers of flavor compound into a harmonious orchestra of deliciousness. They say you can taste the chef's intention in a meal, and your determination to impress me has infused every bite. Then you share your method with us? Of course I will. A meal such as that is worth more than a man's weight in gold. So coconut milk is the key. Thank you so much, Elvas, sir. There's one more thing I would ask, if I may. What, in your opinion, is the biggest secret to health and a long life? A well-balanced diet is important, no doubt about that. But I believe you must enjoy what you eat. It always seemed to me that digestion is aided by how much one relishes a meal. The better one's digestion, the more nutrients one's body absorbs. Exactly. I often thought the same myself. You've been a great help to us, sir, and we wish you many more years of healthy living to come. And although I would love to more thoroughly explore Residence gourmet delights, we must hurry back to Charlie, perhaps another time. Ah, such a glorious meal. If enjoyment truly does improve oneself, then I think I just added 10 years to my life. Thank you, Desiree, for accompanying me to such a far-flung locale and on such short notice. I don't know if I could have secured that alchemical process from your vase without your assistance. But now that we have it, our next batch of Mervyn bread will be well and truly perfect. This time, for certain. Perfectly delectable. Oh, Desiree. I've been trying to make that ascorbic acid. I've done exactly as Yal was instructed, followed his steps to the letter, but it all ends in failure. As embarrassing as it is to admit, I simply lack the expertise. The process requires a far more competent hand than mine. So here I am, at the last, asking for your help once more. Please, I need you to manufacture the additive that will perfect our perfect meal. And that is what we will do. Funny enough is what these two ingredients do not come from a labyrinth force or anything. They come from Elpis. Good. Incredible. It's practically glowing with goodness. With this added to our creation, I have every confidence that the bread will pass any test the cat was subjected to. With your additive, well added to the mix, I put a batch of Mervyn bread into the oven to bake. It should be ready any moment now. This is it, the final fluffy result of much trial and error. This looks familiar. No. Well, have a bite. Yeah, it looks like mule. But it seems to taste. And how does it taste? It's like a stream of flavors blending into a single river of ambrosial delight. Wonderful. And the texture? It's like biting into a soft-baked cloud. Fantastic. And last but not least, what did you think of the aroma? That luscious savory smell is to die for. Exactly what I thought. All the disparate elements have come together so well. Flavor, texture, aroma, not to mention a perfect balance of nutrients. And I have you to thank for this delectable achievement. Yes, I believe the current incarnation of a Mervyn bread has a good chance of swaying the form in our favor. You are attending the evaluation, aren't you? In fact, I must insist upon it. Deboyer is thrilled with your efforts. She now considers you a consummate baker. Charlian cuisine. This is it, Desiree. The forum is ready to begin the evaluation process. We've worked tirelessly on perfecting our submission, and I have every confidence that Mervyn Brett will be the winning candidate. Come, let's make our way to the roster, shall we? I know I said I was confident, but the thought of actually standing before the forum has my stomach all in knots. Courage, Deborah, courage. Esteemed colleagues, we have convened today to evaluate and select a suitable candidate for our proposed meal substitute. As previously discussed, this meal substitute will serve as an emergency provision, such as when our usual sources of food are restricted or otherwise unreliable. To be considered viable, a submission must satisfy our stipulated conditions, namely, that it must be possible to prepare the meal using only the ingredients available in Labyrinthos, and that it also provides all the nutrients necessary to sustain day-to-day survival. Our first of two candidates is the panaloaf submitted by Professor Galveroche, with whom I'm sure you're all familiar. The second is Mervyn bread, submitted by one Miss Deboyer, a student at the Faculty of Medicine. Members of the Council of Culinary Assurance will select one of these candidates following a thorough nutritional analysis and trial consumption of the samples provided. Our analysis has determined that both submissions meet the basic nutritional requirements to qualify as meal replacements. And as they share the same nutritional value, the only consideration left to judge from upon is taste. Even being generous, it would be difficult to describe the flavor of panaloaf as pleasing. Mervyn bread, on the other hand, is a culinary delight. On the grounds of this assessment, Mervyn bread is clearly the superior choice. I beg to differ. Yes, I admit the panaloaf has little to offer in the way of gastronomic enjoyment. But have you considered the matter of a viewpoint of efficiency? Mervyn bread's flavor requires the addition of specific sweeteners and oils, not to mention a particular variety of yeast, an involved process which demands excessive time and exertion. The recipe for panaloaf, however, was devised with simplicity in mind, allowing one to manufacture the same quantity of food with but a fraction of the effort. I implore you to reconsider your decision. After all, this is an emergency comestible we are discussing here, not some gourmet menu item. You raise a valid argument, Professor. We have indeed overlooked the question of efficiency. Should the situation arise that necessitates a supply of emergency rations, then ease of manufacture would certainly be a primary concern, and in that respect your panaloaf holds a significant advantage. If I might offer an opinion, Master Flurgested, to what do we owe this unexpected pleasure? Curiosity mostly. I may be retired, but all this talk of a perfect meal piqued my interest. Wait, I know you? And I know your delicious Mervyn bread. It's an unfortunate fact that fine food is regarded with contempt here in Charlian. Many see the pursuit of gourmet cuisine as a trivial distraction, an inefficient use of one's precious time. Yet when a tired researcher craves a refreshing cup of sweet tea, is it a question of simple desire, or is it the body's way of signaling the lack of a certain nutrient? And what of the comfort afforded by those inefficient tastes and flavors? Surely we have all experienced the calm and reassurance provided by a hearty dish? The same principles can be observed with the soothing familiarity of home-cooked favorites. Why, when my academic cogitations are frustrated by some intractable problem, it is for that very soothing effect that I visit my beloved last stand. As such, I submit that taste plays a far greater role in our well-being than simple enjoyment. Imagine, if you will, a prolonged crisis, and then tell me which of these foods you prefer to consume, day after day after day. Faced with a struggle to survive, which of these meals would best serve to bolster your mental and emotional fortitude? To be perfectly honest, the very thought of eating panaloaf for more than a single day brings me to the edge of panic. Hardly a state one wishes to be in when dealing with a crisis. Yes, even taking into account the additional effort required in its preparation, a satisfying meal is more like to contribute to a rational frame of mind, which in the long run may prove to be a more efficient benefit. Now that all interest parties have made their arguments, the time has come to put the matter to a vote. The results speak for themselves. Panaloaf, 1 vote. Mervyn Bread, 5 votes. Congratulations, Mr. Royer. Your submission has been accepted as Charlian's official emergency meal replacement recipe. Professor, your research is still very much a part of... Uh, uh. Well, that was a near thing. At least until our last stand supporter chimed in. I never knew he was a former member of a forum. I'd say we can safely call this the end of the matter, although there's one last thing I would like to ask of you, Desiree. Despite his rigid way of thinking, Professor Galveroche is not a bad person. Perhaps I can make him a nice meal to soften the blow of his loss, with a little expert help. I got my apron. I knew you wouldn't refuse. When you have a moment, come and meet me at the last stand. Now, as for the professor's meal, I thought we might make him a serving of fish cakes, one of our local specialties. According to Master Deacon, Mervyn and Galveroche used to eat them all the time during their student days. To prepare the fish cakes, you take a white fish and some onion and grind it all into paste. Add milk and pepper and knead well, and then sprinkle in the flour before rolling the mixture into an oval shapes, frying them in boiling hot oil. You don't need the entire recipe. But I would like you to prepare the all-important fish paste. The rest of the dish you can leave to me. If you find yourself lacking ingredients, Master Deacon has graciously agreed to provide us with whatever we need. Ask and you shall receive. I pay to see you wipe that frown from that sour-faced grump. Right, let's get cooking. How's your part of the recipe coming along? Perfect. This will be the ingredient which brings the whole dish together. I've already sent a message to Professor Galveroche, asking him to meet us here. Hopefully he hasn't eaten yet. Why did you send for me? To taunt me with a victory in the place which I care for least? Of course not, sir. We only wanted to offer you this meal as a gesture of goodwill. Please, eat. Enjoy. That was good. They may be simple dishes, but Charlene does have its own local specialties. The art of quality cuisine was never wholly absent from our culture, despite what people may think. I would never argue the importance of nutrition, but I believe what Master Yalvas says is true. Enjoyment of a meal tends to encourage digestion and thus a more efficient intake of nutrients. When I first proposed the recipe for Archon loaf, I did so with Mervyn in mind. He was always so focused on his research that he neglected his dietary needs, and I thought to devise a convenient yet nutritious source of sustenance. It was taken from me before I had the chance to complete it. I was grief-stricken, angry at the loss of my friend, and his gourmet lifestyle became the target of my rage. Though it pains me to admit it, he was responsible for his own actions. It was wrong of me to lay the blame on the thing he loved most. Loved too much, it seems. And after considering the arguments laid out at the evaluation, I'm forced to recognize that taste is an integral part of my work. I shall begin research on a new perfect meal, one which will taste even better than your vaunted Mervyn bread. But Mervyn bread was never solely ours, Professor. It was your research and your panaloaf which provided the nutritional basis for our recipe. Desiree and I simply improved the palatability while maintaining the balance which made it healthy in the first place. Mervyn bread is as much your creation as it is mine or Desiree's. Which is why I implore you to continue improving it. With your resources and expertise, there's no one better positioned to solve the recipe's lingering issues with inefficiency. In that case, I shall need an assistant. Together you and I will test the boundaries of what is possible in the field of gourmet health cuisine. Speaking of fine foods, I do have one complaint about those fish cakes of yours. They were too few. I seem to recall the dish being much larger back when Merv and I used to eat them. Are there any more, perchance? I do believe it was the first time I've ever seen the professor smile. I'm glad our fish cake special had the desired effect. But my work as both a studium and the last stand has just begun. I have an entire city to convince of the benefits of fine dining. Fortunately, it seems the professor is on our side now. We can expect the laboratory's research to expand into taste-related fields, and as part of my ongoing mission, I will do my utmost to see that it succeeds. Ah yes, this place is well suited to the study of flavor-based nutrition. We begin our research into more efficient preparation methods immediately. And here I thought my days of frantic baking were over. I better watch my mixing bowl. Thank you for all your help, Desiree. I couldn't have asked for a most perfect kitchen mate. Please do come and visit me from time to time, both at the studium and as a valued patron of the last stand. Esteemed contributor, Faculty of Medicine. Deboyer is deeply moved by your efforts. She now considers you a virtuoso baker. You've completed all of the studium quests. It seems CUL has something she would like to ask of you. For a finale. Winning bread. Desiree, have you heard? The Faculty of Medicine has acknowledged the contribution of gourmet food to our culture and has commissioned research into recipes from across the world. As for the last stand, we're seeing more customers than ever. It's like the beginning of a revolution for Charlian cuisine, and I'll be doing my part to make sure we keep this momentum going. Fusing the dish with rich savory flavor will require isolating the relevant properties in cheese, and then a more efficient method can be found with kelp. Alright, but we leave those two to their bread and continue playing Final Fantasy XIV another time. Until next time, I'm Mace, and don't get lost.